Let me start out by thanking Councilmember Amanda Edwards for a very gracious introduction, and certainly to Andrea and for TAG, who's just done a phenomenal job with this organization. Give it up to Andrea. She's just incredible. And I don't know what you say about Jack Drake. I knew he was going to do something. I didn't see him, but I knew he was somewhere in the atmosphere. So, bonjour, Jack. And then I'm just amazed that so many of you have pulled away from James Comey to be here today. I really thought the place was going to be empty. I mean, I'm just amazed. So, thank you all for being here, and I'll try to be brief so you can get back to CNN. Look, I appreciate the great work that's been done by TAG and by all of you as partners to make sure that Houston's transportation network supports our continued success as a city in that region. So I really want to acknowledge TAG and the advisory board, the whole of the board, and everyone affiliated with all the partners. Certainly want to acknowledge all of the elected officials that are here this morning. On the state level, the county level, all of the other mayors that are in the room, all of the other mayors that are here. Let me just see a show of hands of the other mayors that are here. Thank you. In fact, why don't you all just stand up? All the mayors stand up. Because transportation certainly is a regional element. We're all connected. And so I certainly appreciate all of them. All the city council members that are here this morning, I certainly want to thank them for being present. Appreciate that. Appreciate all the things that Councilman Edwards had to say. But I think all of us who are public servants that are in business, I think we recognize that it's no one single effort, it's a collective effort. Without all of the personalities working together, it's just hard to get anything done or anything accomplished. So I want to thank my partners at City Hall, as well as the elected officials in our area. All of the other agencies that are here, you're going to hear me talk about TxDOT several times, so I certainly want to acknowledge TxDOT and the work they do. Where are my TxDOT people? You know, they're my good friends right over there. You know, Quincy and we have a love affair going, and as long as they keep the love flowing, we're gonna keep loving each other. But our love is measured by money, so and I want them to know they can buy my love. So so I appreciate them. I know TAG, the Great Houston Partnership, Bob Harvey is here, and all of you. So, you know, our growth is well documented, and although we may have seen a little slowdown, Houston and our metropolitan region will remain a magnet for people who recognize us as a welcoming city that works for all. By 2040, HCAG forecasts that the Houston metropolitan area will have more than 10 million residents. That's a lot of people. That's about 4 million more than what we have today, for a growth of almost 66% over the next 2 decades. That is a lot of people. While growth of the region is essential, how we grow is just as important. Our growth must be sustainable and forward-looking. It must address a comprehensive menu of transportation needs, and must do so by coordinating approaches and partner agencies across counties and cities. The decisions that we make as public agencies, developers, engineers, and contractors will shape these growth patterns for the future. And if we do our job well, we will create a region that attracts and accommodates healthy growth by supporting a strong economy and quality neighborhoods. I'm very impressed that TAG, although founded by industry, has diversified so greatly and now represents a broad base of stakeholders when it comes to multimodal mobility. And what impressed me the most about the motion map is that TAG convened various agencies and built a consensus. This is what we have been lacking when it comes to advocating for more resources. I spent 25 years in the legislature. I'm kind of glad I'm not there right now. They're heading back to a special in July. I wish them well. But I can tell you in the past, Houston has suffered from a lack of consensus and our region's failure to speak as one voice. TAG's leadership on this front is incredibly valuable to this region and this city. You may remember last year, I called for a paradigm shift in our approach to addressing mobility challenges in our region. I'm still calling for a paragraph shift this year as well. I laid out some key strategies, including encourage well-connected urban centers, a transit-oriented development, still timely, utilize a multimodal approach to transportation and mobility, still timely, develop and maintain efficient systems for moving freight by water, road, or rail, still timely, identify resources of strategic funding and be good stewards of those resources, still needed, and foster strong interagency coordination and partnership. I'm proud that we've already making some progress in these areas in our region, but we are not there yet. As we move forward, let's remember why these strategies are so critical to our success. There's a reason they call the central city the urban core. It is at the heart of our region's success, focusing our roadway investment at the periphery of our region and concentrating on single occupant vehicles is not the best policy at this time. That approach encourages sprawl, and sprawl creates congestion, exacerbates flooding, hurts air quality, encourages climate change, and destroys natural habitats. It makes us less healthy and probably less happy. While we dream big, we must recognize that our resources are limited. We need to be smarter as a region by aligning plans and approaches so that we use available funding as strategically as possible. That would be our ticket towards a transportation network and a metropolitan region that is healthier and much more sustainable, and that provides better access to quality of life and economic opportunities for all. I'm proud of the progress we have already made towards improving Houston's mobility options and transportation network. We are working to improve our streets through Rebuild Houston, and this city, again, recommits itself to Rebuild Houston and the dollars that flow. But we have done much more than that. For starters, City Council in March adopted the new Houston Bike Plan, an ambitious but realistic vision of making Houston a safe and convenient place to get around on our bicycles. The plan sets goals of more than tripling Houston's miles of high-comfort bike facilities, like trails, in 10 years, and achieving gold-level bike-friendly recognition from the American League of Cyclists, and we would be the only Texas city besides Austin to achieve that status. We continue to work towards fulfilling the Bayou Greenway's 2020 goal of 150-mile interconnected systems of parks and trails along our major bayous. And just before coming here this morning, we were cutting the ribbon at Sims Bayou. Bayou Greenways is the core of Houston's bike plan, which is designed to help people in neighborhoods across the city gain easier access to the bayou trails and green space. Another big change we've made is new leadership and a new reorganization in our public works and engineering department. Karoom Sharama, who just had to leave because there's a special call with the EPA and the Department of Justice this afternoon. Karoom is doing a great job as director with improved public engagements, one of the highlights. We are now truly listening to communities, to people, as we develop street improvements and other infrastructure upgrades across our city. And sometimes the best way to achieve meaningful transportation or create a meaningful transportation network is just to listen instead of thinking that you know it all. We're making great progress on a variety of fronts, but we cannot at the city do it alone. Mobility is not a Houston issue, it's a regional problem. And one can think of making any headway towards long-lasting and comprehensive solutions by collaborating with our regional partners. Across the world, there are significant innovations in means and methods of mobility solutions. We have a serious and urgent need as a region to adapt these innovative solutions to serve our needs and priorities. I believe we have to find innovative approaches. Traditional solutions like building wider and newer roads are not enough. We'll always need to build roads. That's just a part of the equation. But it shouldn't be the only thing that's in the equation. We are backing ourselves into a corner if we just keep trying the same old ways of solving ever-changing challenges. Underlying the problem is the mindset of people. People across the world are changing their ideas on where they want to live, work, and play. Houstonians are a part of this movement, especially many of the newer arrivals, as my daughter would say, the millennials. Our urban core is offering more and better options in all of these aspects. And Houstonians seem to be changing their mindsets as well. Living in the suburbs and working downtown used to be the norm in this city. However, more and more people, especially millennials, choose to live in the central city and enjoy the many amenities it provides, by parks and trails to accessible public transit to theaters, museums, art districts, and other quality of life opportunities. Where areas like the Washington Corridor, Midtown, Edu, the Heights, and Uptown used to be dead in the evening and weekends, they are now buzzing with life and commerce. It is important for people to have several options going from point A to point B. Everyone should be able to live anywhere in the region. We should be able to work anywhere in the region, and we should be able to travel anywhere in the region easily. The progress of our region should not be impeded by mobility. In fact, mobility across our region should be our competitive advantage, but right now, it is not. And when you look at what's happening in LA and Denver, we are losing a competitive advantage. In that spirit, let me highlight some initiatives being undertaken by the city and our partner agencies that have great potential for our community and the great Houston region. Our Walkable Places project recognizes the importance of coordinating transportation and land use. Dense, walkable activity centers, places people like to go to shop, eat, recreate, and just hang out, are vital to the economic development with low impact on mobility. But our development regulations favor a suburban style of development with rigid parking and landscaping requirements and buildings set back from the streets. Too much regulation will strangle our progress. We need regulations that are sensitive to local context and enhance walkability in high-density, mixed-use areas where people can live, work, and play in the same vicinity. That's why I asked Planning Commissioner Marty Stein to assemble stakeholders to review our regulations and ensure they are encouraging walkable places. I already noted that Houston Bike Plan, and we are doing some very good work to make bicycles more accessible to people. Our B-Cycle program is growing rapidly in the city. We recorded more than 48,000 trips on B-Cycles through late April of this year, and that's up 32% over the same period in 2016. Thanks in part to the $3.5 million in federal funding, we've more than tripled our system from 33 to 104 stations. You will soon be seeing B-Cycle stations in neighborhoods farther from downtown, Councilmember Stardick, as we work to establish a real network of pickup and return stations. I also want to recognize Houston Bike Share for their work in maintaining our system. We're also combining our commitments to public engagement and multimodal transportation with the Lower Westheimer Enhanced Pre-Engineering Study. In a heavily traveled, congested, and very space-limited stretch of Westheimer, we're developing a creative corridor concept that enhances this eclectic area's vibrant, walkable character. And we are preserving vehicular mobility with increased capacity at signalized intersections, creating dedicated through lanes and turn lanes that don't exist today. As the Houston Chronicle recently suggested in a complimentary article, we need more creative thinking like this across our city. With regard to my love partner, TxDOT. TxDOT's North Houston Highway Improvement Project, at 24 miles, Quincy, in length, and estimated to cost $7 billion, This is one of our region's most significant infrastructure projects of its time. This project will improve access into downtown Houston and through the heart of our city, and will change the face of our urban core by rerouting I-45 to the east of downtown and putting much of the freeway below ground level. This can also be an economic development project if designed well, and we may look to cap some areas, creating opportunities for parks and placemaking. Too often, freeway projects divide neighborhoods. This one can help connect them, and it's a great opportunity for TxDOT, the city, Metro, and community stakeholders to create a transformative outcome for Houston. We appreciate TxDOT's partnership and commend the state of Texas for helping set a national example of how to improve local and regional mobility in a manner that is sensitive to the concerns of people and neighborhood. And I do want to thank TxDOT on a personal note. And while I'm there, though not in this speech, I love the Dallas region, Dallas and Fort Worth, but we do need more TxDOT dollars coming into the Houston metropolitan region as well. Metro is working to upgrade its regional transit plan, which hasn't seen a wholesale revision since 2003. Metro is initiating its first round of public outreach this summer with meetings throughout the service area, working together input that will build on successes from the prior Metro Solutions Plan. Those successes included 15 miles of light rail, 8 new parking rides, 7 new or expanded transit centers, and a total redesign of the local bus network. That redesign was so well received that last year Metro was one of just 4 transit systems in the nation that gained ridership on its local bus network. As our inner core grows more dense with population, transit must be a larger part of our mobility mix. Many of our local streets aren't suitable for expansion or widening, and so we must get more capacity out of what we have available, and Metro is an essential partner in that effort. I want to thank Karen Padman and the Metro board and staff for their leadership and look forward to working for them to do some creative things. While we're on the topic of futuristic thinking, the Texas Central Partners High-Speed Bullet Train Rail Project remains an opportunity for improving transportation options to Dallas, and it looks like this concept, entirely privately funded, mind you, has survived the legislative session. Assuming it's not added to the call. That's good for Texas, this 205-mile-per-hour train, good for Texas and good for Houston. We're already looking at the potential for redevelopment and convenient, efficient transit connections at the line's expected terminus in the 290-610 area. We want to provide easy access for those catching the train, and for those arriving in Houston, we must make sure that the end of the line isn't the end of the line. We should be thinking downtown and at the airport and etc. But the good news from this bullet train with all of these contractors, engineers, and architects in the room is that there will be plenty of work for all of you. With 4 years of construction, creating as many as 10,000 jobs per year, this could very well be a signature moment for Houston and the Houston region and for Dallas and their region. And once that is on the way, especially utilizing nothing but private dollars, then imagine going from Houston to Austin. Houston already owns 50 miles of the right-of-way going north. Austin owns 50 miles of the right-of-way coming south. There are only 50 miles in between that needs to be obtained. We must move forward in developing our region. Metro's Uptown Bus Rapid Transit on Post Oak is a vital connection from the region into one of Houston's largest, busiest activity centers. dense areas like Uptown area, a great example of the truth that we cannot build our way out of congestion with everyone in their own car. More effective, efficient transit options like the BRT are the kind of thing that dense cities do around the world. We cannot keep relitigating this concept over and over again, and we would be better served to embrace the future than to cling desperately to a past that is slipping away that will never return. Once the BRT is in place, we need to identify ways to better connect uptown and downtown with strong transit connections. I'd also like to commend the Houston-Galveston Area Council, which of course is a leading force for transportation planning and improvement across our region. This important task force that is being created is looking at the region's long-term transit needs and how we can attain a greater share of funding in the region for transit projects that will improve efficiency and mobility. When we talk mobility, we often think first about ourselves as commuters. But mobility isn't just about moving people. It's about moving the things we need for our daily lives. Freight movement is important to the future of our region for a variety of reasons. First, we have to eat. Much of our food arrives in Houston by truck. Trucks also bring us the gasoline that fuels our cars. At present, about 49% of our freight travels by truck, 39% by marine vessel, and 12% by rail. Our marine capabilities are well known. The Port of Houston is first among U.S. ports in foreign waterborne tonnage, U.S. import tonnage, and U.S. export tonnage. And we are ranked second in the nation for total tonnage for more than 2 decades. The Port of Houston and other smaller ports in our region are vital to our economic health. As a region, we must focus on identifying appropriate freight corridors that will facilitate truck traffic to and from the ports. Beyond trucks, a final key to our freight system is the railroad. There are currently more than 700 at-grade rail crossings in Houston alone, and countless more across our region. As important as the freight rail system is, these crossings can block vehicular traffic, sometimes for hours. We need to identify critical points and pursue funding for grade separations to improve safety and enhance mobility for trains and cars. But this cannot be just a public sector investment. We need the railroads and industry to be partners in these endeavors if we are to succeed. We recently received a $46 million federal grant for grade separation projects. We are currently proposing a joint funding agreement on the match between TxDOT, the City of Houston, and the county. In the end, then, we are back to partnerships, as we just showed by achieving pension reform that had been viewed as impossible by many. There is no limit to what we can achieve if we dream big and work together. Examples are not hard to find. Just look at Denver, where they are using a public-private partnership to build new light rail faster and cheaper. They are the first to use a P3 to build commuter rail, and they did it on the project that cut transit time from downtown to the airport in half when the line started running last year. The P3 approach is estimated to have saved $300 million for the regional transit agency while moving construction forward more quickly than a traditional public sector construction procurement. When I sat with Mayor Hancock in Denver just this past weekend, that's all he could talk about was how they were working collaboratively on a regional basis to expand their transportation network, and he was bragging on the accomplishments that were taking place in Denver and the Denver region. Take a look at Los Angeles, long considered the capital of California car culture. This city's new Mobility 2035 plan, approved by City Council in August, proposes a new network of bike lanes, bus-only lanes, and similar improvements for many LA streets. They have already established a new autonomous vehicle policy, the first in a major U.S. city, and the mayor's sustainable city plan seeks to reduce vehicle miles traveled while increasing the use of shared mobility systems. And They are backing their vision with an estimated $121 billion for transit investment alone through a half-cent sales tax increase. As I visited with Mayor Garcetti, the only thing he could talk about was how the region came together. And when many people thought that people would not vote to increase the sales tax, they end up voting over 70% for it, and now they're doing some creative and fascinating things. We cannot take a second seat to Denver or LA. And Lord, behold, we cannot lag behind. And here's the key. Improvements cost money. Nothing good comes for free. And we are fooling ourselves if we think we can continue to enjoy a healthy, successful city if we won't invest in fundamentals like mobility and transportation. From the medical center, museum district, Hermit Park to the zoo, we need an efficient people-moving system. We need to carry more people quicker on existing infrastructure while working to create more innovative complementary options. Our focus should include options not just to get us from Houston to Dallas, but also from Houston to Austin or Houston to San Antonio. Houston has 2 international airports, but we need more options to get people to and from there and on to their next destination. The 98 commuter rail from the Fort Bend area. Consider a possible freight rail line from the port through Dallas on to Chicago, instead of having to carry goods from Chicago to LA and then back down to the port of Houston. If we can envision it, we can achieve it. And there is nothing that is out of our reach if we work and plan collaboratively. Last, what I will say to you. We hosted the Super Bowl this year. It was not just the city of Houston's Super Bowl, it was the Super Bowl for our region. And we worked in collaboration. So many different partners came together, and we invested in the Super Bowl. Bob, it did not come cheap. A lot of people put their money on the table. Host committee raised a lot of money, and all of us worked together to make it happen. And because we worked in collaboration, it was the most watched, and I believe the most successful Super Bowl in this country's history, but we did it together. We did it together, and we did not try to do it on the cheap. When it came to the pensions, 17 years, a problem in the making, but we came together, we partnered together, we collaborated together, employees and business, city council members, the business community, the legislature, all working together to make it happen. It did not happen on its own, and it did not happen with 1 or 2 personalities. But we worked together to make it happen, and we did. Transportation is no different. It cannot be territorial. It's not about what one person does, or about what one group does. It's about what we can do together. I am a native Houstonian, proud of this city, and we've come a long, long way over the last 25 years. But other regions are not standing still either. Denver people are proud of Denver, and they want to move. The people in LA, they're proud of LA, and they want to move. There are people, they are not waiting on the city of Houston. They're not saying because you all are not prepared to spend, we're not going to spend. They want to be competitive, and they recognize that they're not competing just against Houston. They are competing with cities all over the globe. This is our moment. This is our season, and we need a transportation mobility system that will work for the businesses that are looking at a world energy city with the largest medical center. They are looking at this region, but they do not want to come to a city or a region where they are stuck in traffic and where we are caught up in trying to pay our way forward by dealing with yesterday's means. We must be competitive. We must do it now. We must do it together, or we're going to be stuck behind Denver and LA. And as long as I am mayor, it's time for us to move, be creative. Let's put our money where our mouths are, and let's get ourselves out of this traffic.